My female stalker married my best friend. He had no idea she'd been following me for a year, until she smirked and said, "We're family now." What I did next completely broke her. Throwaway account. I like my life without depositions, restraining orders, or having to explain at holiday dinners why my best friend's ex-wife isn't legally allowed within 100 yards of me. Late January, my best friend Gavin calls me, sounding like he just won the lottery. He's engaged. At first, I'm genuinely excited for him. Gavin is one of those rare, annoyingly solid guys. Return shopping carts. Tips well. Actually means it when he asks how you're doing. Remembers birthdays without social media, reminding him. Shows up to help you move, without being asked twice. We've been ride or die since high school, 14 years deep. The kind of friendship where you'd help him hide a body without asking questions. Just show up with gloves and a shovel. That's the level of trust. Then he sent me a photo. My stomach dropped like someone cut the elevator cable. It was Kelsey, smiling, holding up a ring. Head tilted, eyes soft like butter wouldn't melt. The same calculated eyes I'd been documenting for 11 months. The same smile that had been tracking me through coffee shops, gyms, and grocery stores for almost a year. She didn't just stalk me. She found the one person I'd always trust. Before anyone says I'm overreacting, here's the timeline. I'm a 28-year-old guy. I met Kelsey almost a year earlier, back in February, at a buddy's birthday party. One of those house parties where everyone knows everyone except a few randoms. She was attractive in a way that set off alarms, like definitely as a burner phone, and a secret folder dedicated to you, attractive. Something was off about her eyes, like she was doing mental math while smiling at you. She laughed way too hard at jokes that weren't funny. Stayed in my personal space. Asked questions that felt less like curiosity and more like a background check. Where do you work? What gym do you go to? What's your routine? What car do you drive? Where do you get your haircut? I'm a boring Atlanta area insurance adjuster making 65 grand a year. Gym before work. Numbers all day. Weekends with friends. No mystery. No hidden depth. Nothing that screams, "Please obsess over me." Which is why Kelsey choosing me as her hobby project made zero sense. I didn't hook up with her. Barely talked beyond polite small talk. I left early because her vibe screamed future police report. 2 days later, she followed me on Instagram. Normal enough. Then LinkedIn. That was the first real red flag. Then she followed my gym. Literally. Tuesday morning. 6 a.m. Planet Fitness. There she was, one treadmill away, hood up like she was in witness protection. I finished my cardio. She finished at the exact same time. I moved the weights. She drifted to machines near me. Never made eye contact. Just orbited me like a broken satellite. That's when I started keeping records. Because when you're a guy and you say, "This girl is stalking me," people treat it like a humble brag. That stops real fast when you start showing timestamps. Phase 1 was sightings. By spring, she was mapping my entire existence. First a gym, same Planet Fitness, same time every morning, always one machine away. Then my coffee shop. She'd show up exactly 3 minutes after me, every single time, like she'd synchronize her watch to mine. Always ordered something complicated. Always glance in my direction while waiting. Then the dog park. I was dog-sitting a buddy's golden retriever. Kelsey didn't even have a dog. She just sat on a bench for 45 minutes, watching me throw a tennis ball like she'd paid admission. By March, she stopped pretending it was coincidence. I switched my gym time from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. She adjusted within 3 days. I tried a different coffee shop across town. She was there the next morning. Every test I ran, she passed. Like she had my calendar synced to hers. By late summer, she gave up on subtlety completely. She'd stand close enough that I could feel her watching me, then do that fast look-away thing if I turned around. Sometimes she took photos, not selfies. Photos of me. I'd catch her holding her phone up, angling it toward me, zooming in on my face from across the gym. She wasn't even embarrassed when I stared straight at her. She just kept going, like I was public property. Phase 2 was messages. Summer turned into her narrating my life back to me like she had front row seats. Not, hey, not, how are you? Nothing a normal person sends to someone they barely know. Always commentary. Always observations I never asked for. You look tired today. Maybe you should sleep more. You should switch protein brands. That one's trash for lean muscle. You were friendlier to the blonde cashier than you are to me. Interesting choice. Your haircut looks better than last month. Good call on the fade. You skipped the gym yesterday. Everything okay? That's not like you. I never told her my protein brand. Never told her my schedule. Never mentioned where I got my haircut. Never talked about a cashier I spoke to for 30 seconds about the weather. I blocked her. She made new accounts. Random names. Random numbers. Sunflower _ vibes _ 28 quiet _ observer _ 7743 peaceful _ watcher _ 2891 impossible screen before she'd already sent something. I changed gyms completely. Picked one 25 minutes from my apartment. She showed up there too. 3 days later. At one point, I got a new phone number. Told almost nobody. Just family, my closest friends, and essential work contacts. A week later, I got a text from an unknown number that simply said, "New number. Cute." My blood went cold. The message was crystal clear. There was no escaping her attention. She wanted me to know she could still reach me. She wanted me to feel hunted. I'm an analyst by trade. I spend my days organizing data, investigating claims, tracking patterns. I've handled enough insurance fraud cases to know exactly how evidence needs to be collected if it's going to survive scrutiny. So I applied that same discipline to Kelsey. If it didn't have a timestamp, it didn't count. I screenshotted every message, logged dates and times of every sighting with exact locations, documented every photo I caught her taking with photos of my own. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was building a legal case, the kind that holds up in court. Not because I was scared. Because people like Kelsey don't stop on their own. They escalate until someone forces them to stop. Then came the confrontation. 3 days after the new number text, she was waiting for me in the gym lobby when I finished my workout. Just standing there by the front desk, blocking the exit, smiling like we were old friends who planned to meet up. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "You need to stop following me." She blinked. Put on that fake, innocent expression like she had no idea what I was talking about. "I'm just working out. This is a public gym. Stop contacting me. Stop showing up at places I go. This is your warning. Next step is the police." Her smile didn't fade. It widened, like she was enjoying finally getting a reaction out of me. "You're being dramatic. I'm just trying to be friendly. Do not contact me again." I walked past her, phone still recording, and went straight to my car. I sat there for 10 minutes documenting everything. Time, date, location. Exactly what she said, exactly what I said. I noted the witnesses at the front desk who saw the entire interaction. Then I drove straight to a lawyer's office. That recording, that confrontation, was what gave me legal standing. Proof of direct contact after I had explicitly told her to stop. Evidence that she was following me, not just coincidentally running into me. 2 days later, I sent a cease and desist letter via certified mail. It cost me about $350, including the consultation and filing. Worth every cent. The letter was legally airtight. Do not contact me in any form. Do not approach me. Do not come to my residence or workplace. Any further contact will be considered harassment and pursued through legal channels. Signed by a lawyer. Sent with tracking. She signed for it 4 days later. I have the green card proving she received it. That letter established legal notice. Everything she did after that wasn't just creepy anymore. It was actionable. Phase 3 was physical proof and direct attacks on my sense of safety. Late summer, I found a Polaroid tucked under my windshield wiper. My assigned parking spot at my apartment complex. The photo was of me at the gym, taken from behind a weight rack. On the back, written in neat handwriting. Good form. Bad attitude. She had driven to my apartment complex. walked through my parking lot in the dark, found my car, stood there long enough to slide it under my windshield wiper without being seen. She invaded the one place that should have been safe. Congratulations, sweetheart. You're officially a felon with a scrapbook. I kept the Polaroid and added it to the folder. Bought a dash cam for my car. Screenshot every message within seconds of receiving it. Took photos of her. Whenever I caught her taking photos of me, I was building a binder that would hold up in court, and she had no idea she was filling it page by page with her own behavior. Phase 4 was her trying to burn my life down. Early fall, HR called me into their office. Someone had filed an anonymous complaint claiming I'd been making unwanted advances at a company networking event. I had never been to that event. I was out of state visiting family that night. I had plane tickets and hotel receipts to prove it. I showed HR everything. Months of documentation, screenshots, the timeline, the Polaroid, the pattern of behavior. They dropped the complaint immediately and logged it as malicious. Then she went after my dating life. I'd been seeing someone named Hannah, 4 or 5 dates in. Things were going really well. One week, Hannah texted me. Your ex reached out and said you're not over her and that I should be careful. I don't have an ex who would do that, but I did have Kelsey. She'd found Hannah on Instagram and sent her a fabricated story about how I was obsessive and couldn't let go. Hannah bowed out after I showed her the full timeline. I can't blame her. Most people don't want to date someone with a human surveillance drone attached. That's when I fully understood what Kelsey was doing. She wasn't just obsessed. She was strategic. She was trying to destroy my ability to move forward with my life. She wanted me isolated, paranoid, and reactive so she could play the victim. I didn't give her that satisfaction. I just kept adding to the folder. Every move she made, every boundary she crossed, every escalation. I was building the case that would eventually end this nightmare. What I didn't know, while she was destroying my dating life, was that she was dating my best friend. I called Gavin immediately after seeing the engagement photo. Didn't wait 5 minutes. Called him straight away. Asked how long they'd been together. 6 months. That put around late July. Right when the stalking intensified. Right when she started showing up more often, messaging more aggressively, pushing harder against every boundary. The timing made perfect sense in the worst possible way. She'd been dating my best friend while actively stalking me. She'd insert herself into my inner circle through the back door. Found a way and I never saw it coming because I never imagined she'd be that patient or that calculated. I told him everything. I sent him the folder, every screenshot, every timestamp, the Polaroid with good form, bad attitude written on the back, the new number, cute, text proving she somehow tracked my new phone number, the burner accounts, the creepy messages, the HR complaint she filed trying to get me fired, the messages, the ones that read like she was trying to live inside my head rent-free. 11 months of evidence. I kept thinking, surely he'll see what I'm seeing. There was a long silence on the phone. The kind that stretches past normal and into uncomfortable territory. The kind where you can hear the other person breathing, and you know they're searching for the right thing to say. Then he finally spoke. I need to think about this. Not what the hell. Not holy crap. I had no idea. Now I'm calling it off. Just silence, followed by hesitation. The kind of hesitation that tells you someone has already made up their mind and is just looking for reasons to justify it. The kind that tells you the decision was made before you even started talking. That's when I knew I wasn't getting him back. Here's what I didn't know at the time. Kelsey had been playing the victim with Gavin for months. She told him I'd misread signals at that party where we first met, that I'd been a little too persistent, and she was just trying to keep things civil between us. That I got weird when she started seeing someone new. That she felt unsafe around me but didn't want to cause drama in his friend group because she knew how much he valued those friendships, and she didn't want to be the reason he lost people. She painted me as a problem before I even knew she existed in his life. She spent 6 months laying groundwork, building a narrative, preparing for this exact moment, when I'd inevitably find out and confront him with evidence. So when I showed up with a folder full of proof, I wasn't exposing a stalker. I was confirming her story. I looked obsessed. I looked like the guy who couldn't let go. I looked exactly like the person she'd been describing to him for half a year. It was genius in the most evil way possible. She inoculated him against the truth before I ever got the chance to tell it. Gavin met me for coffee 2 days later. He looked tired, worn down, conflicted in a way I'd never seen before. He said he believed something happened, but that maybe I was reading too much into it. That Kelsey had anxiety. That some of the messages might have been poorly worded, but not malicious. That the photos could have been coincidental. That lots of people go to Planet Fitness. That maybe she just happened to live nearby, and it was all unfortunate timing. That she was working on herself and trying to be better, and he wanted to support her through that. I sat there realizing I was arguing against a narrative she'd spent 6 months building brick by brick. Every piece of evidence I had, she'd already explained away to him. Every red flag I raised, she'd reframed as anxiety, coincidence, or misunderstanding. He wasn't looking at facts. He was looking at 2 conflicting stories from 2 people he cared about, and he'd already chosen which one to believe. He said he loved her, that she made him happy, that he thought I was being protective, but maybe too protective, that he appreciated me looking out for him. But he was a grown man who could make his own decisions. Then he said the line that ended it all. I think you need to let this go, man. For everyone's sake. I didn't argue. There was no point. You can't logic someone out of position they didn't logic themselves into. Cool, I said. Do what you want. But I'm not going to be around for this. He looked surprised, like he expected me to fight harder. I didn't. I paid for my coffee and left. That was the last real conversation we had for a long time. 3 months later, Gavin got married. Spring wedding. Outdoor venue. Probably beautiful. I wasn't invited. Didn't expect to be. Didn't want to be. I thought that was the end of it. I thought she'd gotten what she wanted. Legitimacy. Access to his life. A ring. A new last name. A social position that made her untouchable. She'd won. Game over. She could move on with her life and leave me alone. I was wrong. Marriage didn't satisfy her. It just gave her cover. Now, she wasn't just some girl following me. She was Gavin's wife. She did the whole new wife performance, but aimed it like a weapon. She could show up at mutual friends' events, and I'd be the jerk if I made it weird. She could be in group photos. She could be at gatherings when I walked in. She was woven into the social fabric now, and pulling her out meant pulling threads that would make me look unhinged. She knew that, and she used it with surgical precision. The first time I saw her after the wedding was at a mutual friend's backyard cookout in early summer. I didn't know she'd be there. Nobody warned me. If they had, I wouldn't have gone. I arrived and she was already posted near the grill, talking to people I'd known for years, laughing at their jokes, playing the role of Gavin's lovely wife like she'd been rehearsing it her whole life. She'd even brought a side dish, potato salad, like a normal person who wasn't a documented stalker with a restraining order in her near future. I kept my distance, didn't engage, didn't even look at her directly. I talked to the people I came to see, stayed on the opposite side of the yard, kept conversations short, planned to leave early. But she made sure I knew she was there. She drifted closer whenever I moved, laughed louder when I was nearby, that fake, theatrical laugh designed to draw attention. She touched Gavin's arm and glanced at me at the same time. At one point, she cornered me near the cooler when no one else was around. People had drifted to the other side of the yard. It was just us for maybe 30 seconds. That's all she needed. She smiled at me, tilted her head the same way she had at that party over a year ago. We're family now, she said. You know that, right? I looked at her for the first time in months. Really looked at her, and I saw nothing behind her eyes except calculation and the satisfaction of someone who thought they'd gotten away with something. I didn't smile back. Do not contact me. Do not approach me. Stay away from me. She blinked, like she hadn't expected that, like she thought I'd play along now that she had institutional protection. Then she laughed. Not a real laugh, a dismissive one. You're being dramatic. Do not contact me again. Then I left. I didn't make a scene. Didn't explain why I was leaving early. Didn't pull Gavin aside for a conversation. He wouldn't listen to anyway. I just grabbed my stuff and walked out like I'd suddenly remembered an appointment I couldn't miss. Later that night, around 11 p.m., I got a message from an unknown number. You embarrassed me in front of people. That was rude. I was just being friendly. You could at least try to be civil for Gavin's sake. I didn't respond. I screenshotted it within 5 seconds, added it to the folder, which was now over 100 pages long. 3 days later, my phone started blowing up. Group chat pings started lighting up my phone. You good? Texts from people I hadn't talked to in weeks. That nervous energy people get when they've seen something ugly, but don't yet know whose side they're on. Then someone sent me a video. 32 seconds. Shaky phone footage. Terrible audio. No context. It was me at that cookout, standing by the cooler. My voice clipped and harsh. Do not contact me. Stay away from me. Then Kelsey's voice soft, confused. I was just being friendly. Cut to me walking away fast, while she stands there looking small and hurt. That was it. That was the entire clip. You couldn't see her cornering me. You couldn't hear "we're family now" delivered like a threat. You couldn't see the calculation in her eyes when she smiled. All you could see was me looking aggressive, and her looking victimized. 32 seconds of social assassination. She posted it to a private story with a caption about feeling unsafe, about trying to make peace with Gavin's friends and getting shut down hard, about not understanding why I hated her so much when she'd only ever tried to be kind. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. That's scary. You okay? Does Gavin know about this? Within 6 hours, mutual friends went radio silent. They didn't block me. They didn't confront me. Just that cold, neutral withdrawal people do when they decided you might be the problem, but don't want to say out loud yet. I didn't offend myself publicly. I didn't post my own explanation. Didn't blow up the group chat with context, because that's exactly what she wanted. She wanted me reactive, wanted me ranting about timestamps and folders and how I was the real victim, wanted me to look unhinged while she played the calm, confused wife who just wanted everyone to get along. I sent one message to the group chat that was lighting up. Video is edited, not discussing here. DM me if you want the full timeline. 3 people messaged me. 3 out of maybe 15. Everyone else went quiet. An hour later, Gavin texted me directly. Why are you doing this to her? She's scared of you. Not what happened. Not let's talk. Just accusation dressed up as concern. He'd already decided I was a villain before asking a single question. I sent him one screenshot in response. The text from a year ago, the one that made my blood go cold. New number, cute. I included the timestamp showing it came a week after I'd changed my number. A number I'd given to maybe 8 people total, none of whom would have shared it with her. Then I added one line. She's been tracking me for over a year. This is one of 100 receipts. The read receipt showed he'd seen it. He didn't respond. 2 days later, Kelsey posted another video. 48 seconds this time. She was sitting in her car, eyes a little red, voice shaky and soft, talking about how she'd tried so hard to be welcoming to Gavin's friends. How she knew I'd had a weird reaction to her at that first party, but she thought time would help. How she hoped marriage would bring everyone closer. But instead I was making things hostile, and she didn't understand why. She said she just wanted peace. It was a performance of a lifetime. She practiced that crack in her voice. Timed those pauses perfectly. Knew exactly how to look vulnerable without looking weak. The comments flooded in. You don't deserve this. Some people are just toxic. Gavin's lucky to have you. That's when I fully understood what she was doing. The goal wasn't just to stalk me. It was to isolate me, cut me off from friends, make me the aggressor in every version of the story. Flip the script so completely that by the time I went legal, she'd already have a dozen character witnesses ready to say I was obsessed, unstable, the real problem. She baited me into that confrontation at the cookout, knowing she'd record it, edited it down to the harshest possible moment with zero context, deployed it strategically to turn my own friend group against me before I could prove what she'd been doing. It was calculated, professional, sociopathic. That night, I backed up everything. I downloaded the videos she posted before she could delete them, screenshot every comment, every share, every message thread. Saved metadata showing when she filmed and posted. Documented which friends engaged, who went silent, who chose sides without asking questions. Added it all to the folder, which was now bigger than some people's thesis papers. She tried to assassinate my reputation with a 30-second clip. I decided she was getting a permanent record instead. The next morning, I called my lawyer. The cease and desist I'd sent months earlier had done exactly what it was supposed to do. It established legal notice. She signed for it, knew the rules, and kept breaking them anyway. My lawyer started building two cases at the same time. First, the criminal side, filing for a protective order with evidence of repeated contact after being told to stop. Second, the civil side, drafting a complaint for defamation, tortious interference, and harassment. The edited video, the sabotaged job opportunities, the workplace calls, the photos, the surveillance. Her attorney could bluff all they wanted. We had discovery waiting. Phone records, account logs, devices, the entire digital trail she'd been leaving for over a year. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my gym. The same one I'd switched to 2 months earlier. The one across town. The one she shouldn't have known about because I told almost nobody where I was working out. She walked straight into the first trap. The cease and desist was clear. Any contact was a violation. Every move after that letter was evidence. I didn't engage. Didn't say a word to her. I finished my set, walked calmly to the front desk, and told them there was someone in the building who'd been legally ordered to stay away from me. I showed them the certified mail receipt proving she'd been served. Showed them her photo on my phone. So they knew exactly who to look for. They found her on the treadmills and asked her to leave. She argued, said she was just working out, said it was a public gym, said I couldn't ban her from places she had every right to be. They didn't care. Private business. Private rules. They walked her out and told her not to come back. I filed a police report that afternoon. Another timestamp. Another document showing she couldn't help herself. 3 weeks later, she called my workplace directly, asked for my supervisor by name, told them she was concerned about my behavior, said I'd been harassing her and her husband, said she feared for her safety. Second trap. Same pattern. She kept thinking she was clever. She was just predictable. Apparently, she cried on the phone. Very convincing performance. My supervisor called me into his office. He looked confused and a little concerned. I opened the folder and showed him everything. The original HR complaint from months earlier that had already been investigated and dismissed. The cease and desist letter with her signature. The police report with a case number. The gym incident, complete with witness statements. He stared at the documents for a long time. Then he closed the laptop. This woman needs to stop calling here. HR logged it as a second malicious complaint from the same source. They sent her a formal letter on company letterhead stating that any further contact would be treated as harassment and referred to legal counsel. I added that to the folder. Page 120 by then. Then I filed for restraining order. Courts don't hand these out casually. You need proof of credible threat, repeated contact after being told to stop, and a pattern showing it isn't just a personal dispute. I had timestamps going back over a year. Certified mail with her signature. A police report with a case number. HR documentation from 2 separate incidents. Witnesses from the gym. A folder thick enough to make any prosecutor or judge take it seriously. At the temporary hearing, the judge reviewed everything. He granted a temporary restraining order on the spot. A full hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. Kelsey didn't show up for the full hearing. She'd been properly served but didn't appear. Didn't send a lawyer. Didn't contest any of the evidence. Gavin did show up. I saw him when I walked into the courtroom. He sat in the back row, looking like he'd aged 5 years in the 3 months since his wedding. He didn't say anything. Didn't try to talk to me before or after. Just sat there and watched as I presented my evidence and answered the judge's questions. The judge reviewed everything methodically. He granted a full 1-year protective order without hesitation. No contact in any form. No approaching within 100 yards. No third-party contact. No electronic communication. No showing up at my residence, workplace, or any establishments I was known to frequent regularly. Violations would result in immediate arrest. Gavin left before I did. He didn't make eye contact on his way out. Just walked out with his head down, like someone leaving a funeral. 2 days later, building management called me. Someone had tried to enter the building using a guest code that had been deactivated months earlier. Security footage showed it was Kelsey. She tried 3 different times. Each attempt was denied. She stood in the lobby looking frustrated, then finally left. 3rd trap. She was compulsive. She couldn't stay away, even when staying away was the only move that wouldn't destroy her. I forwarded the security footage to police. They added it to the existing case file. Building management sent her a formal trespass notice. Another document for the folder. Another timestamp. A week after that, she violated the restraining order. 4th trap. By now, the judge was starting to see exactly what I'd been documenting all along. She showed up at my coffee shop. Sat down at a table 2 tables away from mine. Didn't say anything. Just sat there with her phone, watching me out of the corner of her eye like she thought she was being subtle. I didn't engage. I took a photo of her sitting there, with my table visible in the frame. The timestamp was automatically embedded. I noted the exact time, packed up my things, and left immediately. Called the police from my car. They sent an officer within 10 minutes. She was gone by the time they arrived, but I had the photo with timestamp and location data. They filed an official violation report. The judge reviewed the violation report and the photo evidence. Looked at the pattern. Cease and desist violated. Gym appearance. Workplace call. Building entry attempt. Coffee shop. 5 separate incidents in 3 months. The judge stopped seeing a messy situation and started seeing a compulsive pattern. He signed off on an arrest warrant that same day. She turned herself in 3 days later, lawyer in tow. Posted $5,000 bail. Court date set for 3 weeks out. The weeks leading up to court were the quietest I'd experienced in over a year. No messages. No sightings. Just silence. But I knew better. People like Kelsey don't stop. They regroup. I stayed vigilant. Kept documenting. Kept checking mirrors. A restraining order is just paper. Paper doesn't stop someone determined. It just gives you ammunition when they try. The restraining order violation hearing was on a Tuesday morning in late fall. I showed up early, folder in hand, dressed professionally. Kelsey pled no contest. She was fined $2,000, ordered to attend mandatory counseling for 6 months, placed on probation for a year. The judge gave her a stern lecture about the pattern of behavior he'd observed. The gym, the workplace, the building, the coffee shop. Every violation documented with timestamps and witnesses. He told her that if she appeared before him again for anything related to this case, she'd be looking at actual jail time. 60 days minimum. The probation terms were strict. Any further contact, direct or indirect, would result in immediate arrest, and he would personally remand her into custody pending a hearing. His tone made it clear. He wasn't bluffing. The restraining order was extended to 2 years with enhanced penalties. That should have been the end. It wasn't. Gavin's divorce got messy. Kelsey tried claiming he was controlling and emotionally abusive. Hired a lawyer who specialized in painting men as villains. Tried to get alimony, the apartment, half of everything. But the paper trail I'd built didn't just protect me. It protected him. His divorce lawyer received copies of everything. Police reports, restraining orders, HR complaints, timestamps, certified letters, arrest records, conviction documents, boxes of photos. Gavin found a creepy note she kept documenting my life. At the same time, my civil suit was moving forward. Her attorney tried to bluff. My attorney dropped the binder on the table and said one word, discovery. Suddenly, she was facing subpoenas for phone records, social media accounts, deleted messages, device logs. Everything she'd hidden was about to become court exhibits. She couldn't claim she was a victim when there were court documents showing a pattern of harassment that started before she ever met Gavin. She couldn't claim innocence anymore once there was a judicial finding that labeled her behavior for what it was, stalking. She couldn't hide behind anxiety or excuses when Discovery was about to drag every calculated move she'd made into the open. Her lawyer knew it too and advised her to settle. We reached a settlement for an undisclosed amount. It covered all my legal fees and then some, and it included stronger no-contact provisions with automatic penalties if she violated them. She signed without a fight. Interlude. Brotherhood. 3 days after the settlement, Gavin showed up at my place. No text, no warning. Just his car pulling into my driveway around 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. I saw the headlights through the window and knew immediately who it was. I opened the garage door. He got out carrying a cardboard box and a flash drive. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. Hollow eyes, slumped shoulders, the kind of exhaustion that comes from realizing you've been living with someone who studied you like a science experiment. He set the box on my workbench and stood there for a moment without speaking, staring at it like it might bite him. "Found this in our closet," he finally said. "Photos of you, schedules, printed emails, a whole filing system." His voice was flat. "The flash drive has the rest. A secret email account, notes about your routines, messages to other guys while we were dating. She was planning this before she even met me." I looked at the box but didn't open it. I'd already seen enough in my own folder. "I picked comfort," he said. "When you showed me the evidence, I chose to believe her because it was easier, because I didn't want to see what I'd married." I didn't respond right away. We just stood there in the garage, the overhead light buzzing, his confession hanging between us. "We're not going back to normal," I said eventually, "but I'm not leaving you in the fire. You need this for your divorce. I need it for my case. Let's make it count." He nodded. No excuses. No long apology. Just acknowledgement. We spent the next 2 hours labeling exhibits, organizing files by date, cross-referencing his discovery with mine, and building a timeline that showed she'd been documenting me before she'd ever said, "I love you" to him. Every photo was tagged. Every note scanned. Every message time-stamped. It was mechanical. Procedural. 2 guys standing at a workbench, building evidence folders like we were cataloging parts for an engine rebuild. When we finished, he sealed the copies in an envelope addressed to his lawyer. I kept duplicates for mine. He left without ceremony. Just a nod. An understanding that this was transactional, not reconciliation. A month later, the divorce was finalized. She walked away with nothing significant. No alimony. A fair split of joint assets. That was it. Early spring. For months after her violation conviction, I started hearing that she was telling people I destroyed her marriage, that I'd poisoned Gavin against her with obsessive documentation, that I was the real stalker. Some people believed her at first. The ones who didn't know the full story only heard her side. But court records are public. People started looking them up. The protective order, the violation, the arrest, the conviction, the civil settlement, the divorce filings referencing credible evidence of stalking behavior that predated the marriage. The narrative flipped quietly. No dramatic confrontations. Just dots connecting. Friends who had gone silent started reaching out again, apologizing. The group chat that had frozen me out suddenly lit up with messages like, "Holy shit, I had no idea," and "Man, I'm sorry we didn't listen." I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The people who mattered knew the truth. The ones who'd seen the folder, sat in that courtroom, watched her get arrested, read the findings that proved everything I'd said from day one. She lost her marriage, her money, her social circle, and her mask, all because she couldn't accept that I wasn't interested. Here's the tightened ending. 3 weeks after the divorce finalized, I saw her one last time. Different grocery store, different part of town. I'd gotten good at being unpredictable. I was in the produce section grabbing apples when I felt that familiar prickle on the back of my neck. There she was, at the end of the aisle, cart in front of her, not pretending to shop, just staring at me across 30 feet of vegetables. She started walking toward me. I pulled out my phone and started recording. She stopped about 10 feet away. "You ruined my life." I didn't lower the phone. "You ruined your own life." I just documented it. "I loved you from the moment I saw you at that party, and you treated me like I was nothing." I talked to you for 10 minutes at a party. That's not love. You invented a relationship that never existed and stalked me for over a year because I wouldn't play along. Her face twitched. You could have just given me a chance. I don't owe you anything. Not my time. Not my attention. And definitely not a chance. She took a step forward. I raised my voice just enough that other shoppers turned to look. You're violating a restraining order right now. There are cameras everywhere. I'm recording. One more step, and you go to jail. The judge was very clear about that. She stopped. Then something broke behind her eyes. Not dramatically. Just a small shift, like a light going out. She turned around, abandoned her cart, and walked out without another word. I kept recording until she was gone. Then I called the police. They took my statement, reviewed the footage, and added it to the file. She tried to make me look dangerous. I made it official. I haven't seen Kelsey in over a year now. No sightings. No messages. No burner accounts. No Polaroids. Update. The divorce is finalized. Kelsey is finally out of the picture. Things are quiet. For once. Then Gavin shows up again. Unannounced. No text. No, you home? Just him standing in my driveway like he knows if he gives me time, I'll say no. He looks wrecked. Not dramatic, just depleted. The kind of exhaustion that comes from realizing you blew up your own life and drag someone else's down with it. He doesn't defend her. Doesn't try to explain himself. He just says he's sorry. Says he chose the easy lie over the ugly truth when I warned him. Says he let a woman he barely knew come between 14 years of friendship. Then he asks for it back. Not, let's be cool. Not, maybe we talk sometimes. He asks if I can forgive him and be close again like before. Says he'll do whatever it takes. And he means it in that embarrassing, no pride left way. And I'm standing there thinking how much I miss my friend, while also remembering being treated like the villain while he played house with my stalker. So Reddit, do I forgive him and rebuild? Or is I'm sorry too late when he watched my life get trashed and still told him to let it go?